I hope that you're enjoying the lesson so far and that you feel like you're making some solid progress into Spanish. Now we're into category 7, where we're going to focus on English words ending in IC. And this is another huge category, has about 246 words, which we can easily convert into Spanish with one simple rule. And let's take our example word, say, of classic. So here you can see it ends in IC. Now the key to unlock it is that IC becomes ICO in Spanish. So we're basically just adding an O onto the end. For example, classic would become clásico. Now there's something else very important here to take note of, and that is where the stress is falling on the word. You can see here we have an accent over the A. So that's telling you that you have to stress that part of the word, clásico. If the accent was over the I, for example, would be clásico, which if you said it that way, you wouldn't be understood. Okay, so it's very important that you stress the right part of the word clásico rather than clásico. Let's try it on another example. Here we have the word toxic. So remembering that classic became clásico, how do you think you would say toxic in Spanish? Tóxico. Here again you can see the accent over the O, so it's not tóxico but tóxico. So it's very important to pay attention to the accent and to the stress point, because if you don't do that, even though you're saying the word, okay, the right spelling and everything, native Spanish speakers will not understand it, because where the stress falls on the word is extremely important to how it sounds. So make sure that you're stressing the right part of the word. Let's try a few more examples now so that you can really get the hang of it. Here we have another IC word, traffic. So try to say traffic in Spanish. Tráfico. To say the traffic, it would be el tráfico, because the word is ending in O, which means that it's going to be masculine. And so we have el to say the. Remember before we had casa, which ended in A, so we said the house with la casa, because it's feminine. Let's write it out here just to make it a bit clearer. Because in Spanish, it's very important that things agree. It's a very agreeable language. So tráfico ending in O makes it masculine, so the traffic would be el tráfico. And casa ends in A, which makes it feminine, so it would be la casa. So both words are the, but one word is masculine and the other word is feminine. There's something else now that we also need to be aware of, and you've probably already noticed this, that el can mean him or the. For example, we had for him, para el, and the traffic, el tráfico. There's nothing really more to remember than that. It's just to point it out so that you're aware of it in case it was something that was confusing you, that el can mean for him, but also it can be the when the word is masculine, para el or el tráfico. Let's continue converting more of these words from the category. Here we have public, ending in IC. So how would you say public in Spanish? Público. Notice the stress point here. Público, público. How would you say the public? El público. What about panic? Pánico. To say there is in Spanish is simply I. So sounding like the English letter, right? So we have I. Has that sound to it, but the spelling is actually H-A-I. Now the really nice thing is that there is equals I in Spanish, but also there are is also I. So it's very simple, very easy to remember. there is or there are, it's all I. So how would you say something like there is panic? Hay pánico. To say a lot or a lot of is mucho. So you have this one word, mucho, meaning three words in English, a lot or a lot of. It's all just mucho contained in that word. So for example, try to say there's a lot of traffic. Hay mucho tráfico. I for there is, a lot of, mucho. Traffic, tráfico. The word for today in Spanish is hoy. Hoy, spelt H-O-Y, but we don't say hoy, you know, with that H sound, because it really doesn't, you don't get that in Spanish. So from here, it's just hoy, the pronunciation. So how would you say there's a lot of traffic today? Hay mucho tráfico hoy. There is, a lot of, mucho. Traffic today, tráfico hoy. How would you say there's a lot of panic today? Hay mucho pánico hoy. There is, a lot of, mucho. Panic, pánico, today, hoy. There's another way in Spanish to say a lot of, which is more congruent with English, and I'm putting this in case for some of you, you'll find it easier to remember and easier to use. So here we have a lot of. In Spanish, you can say un montón de. So we have three words and three words matching, so it's a little bit more congruent. A would be un, and then think of this one, montón, as like a mountain of. You know, in English, we can say a mountain of people were there, or as a mountain of traffic today. You can also do the same in Spanish. And so a mountain of would be un montón de. And that you can interchange and not use mucho, but use this instead. So for example, you could say something like, there's a lot of traffic today, and use this a mountain of. How would you do that? So it would be, hay un montón de tráfico hoy. If we were to say something like, there's a mountain of people today, it could be, hay un montón de gente hoy. So this two is interchangeable. We could easily replace this with mucho. Hay mucho tráfico hoy, or hay un montón de tráfico hoy. This one for some of you might be easier because we use this phrase a lot in English as well. Here's another word ending in IC, organic. So try to say organic in Spanish. Orgánico. Comic. Cómico. Medic. Médico. I'd like to talk a little bit about this word médico because it's something that will again help your Spanish to sound very natural. In Spanish, they do have this word doctor, but they don't use it in the same way that we do in English. For example, we would say, he is a doctor. But in Spanish, they use médico for that. So he is a doctor would be es médico, a medic, right? When you would use doctor in Spanish is when you're talking directly to a doctor or to a dentist. So they would say something like, thank you, doctor. That would be gracias, doctor. So they're speaking directly to him, gracias, doctor. However, if they were saying he is a doctor, they would then say not es doctor. That would sound very strange to them. They would instead say es médico. Again, if we wanted to say she is a doctor, and it wasn't already obvious in the course of the conversation. So we want to explicitly say she is a doctor. See if you can remember how to do that. Ella es médico. So the important thing here is that I used ella to make it absolutely crystal clear that I'm saying she is a doctor, and I didn't use doctor. Ella es médico. Let's go for a few more examples now. Here we have electric, ending in IC. So try to convert this word into Spanish. Eléctrico. So we have eléctrico, eléctrico. What about historic? Histórico. Remember, we ignored the H in the pronunciation, and we would start from here on the I, which always sounds like an E in Spanish. So histórico, histórico. And also, this stress point, very important. So you wouldn't say histórico, which would have the stress on the I, right? Histórico. Instead, the push comes over the O, histórico. What about this one as a more kind of challenge to you? How would you say demographic in Spanish? Demográfico. So the push over the A here. Demográfico, demográfico. What about fantastic? Fantástico. How would you say it's fantastic for him and for her? Es fantástico para él y para ella. I'd like to bring to your attention now a false positive in this category, which is a very common word, and that is music. So here we can see that music ends in IC. It fits into this category. And converting it with our rule, it would become musico. Now, musico does exist as a word in Spanish, but it does not mean music. It actually means musician. So if someone said to you, es músico, they're not saying it's music, they're saying he is a musician. The actual word for music is música. So it's practically the same, nothing more than instead of ending in an O, like all the other words did, it ends in an A. So I just wanted to bring to your attention that important difference and this false positive, because it's such a common word that you're likely to use. So remember, músico is musician, and música ending in A means music. So that's the end for category 7, and I know that we covered a lot of information in this video, especially with the stress points. So if you didn't get the hang of it the first time, keep repeating this video until you get the hang of where to push those words in this category. In the next video, we're going to look more at describing things in Spanish. We touched on it before with a big house or a house big, but we're going to do more practice of that now in the next video.